Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I've long supported the 340B program. It's critical for about 71 hospitals in my home state of Wisconsin. They rely on it to help provide affordable medications as well as essential services for their vulnerable and often rural communities. One of our rural hospitals in Wisconsin told me that thanks to their 340B savings, they have been able to expand a remote dispensing site in Mountain, Wisconsin, which otherwise does not have a pharmacy at all anywhere in the community. It's important to strengthen and improve this program to ensure it continues to fulfill its purpose, which is why I'm concerned with recent actions by the administrations and proposals that unfairly single out and target hospitals for cuts under the 340B program. A hospital pharmacist in Madison, Wisconsin recently told me 340B is vital to the hospital's bottom line and lets him focus what is best for his patients. Not long ago, his hospital treated a woman for anaphylactic shock after she was exposed to an unknown chemical at work. She said she had to get back to work or she'd be fired. So he wrote her a prescription for an EpiPen in case she had another exposure. But she couldn't afford the $400 price because she was uninsured. The 340B program allowed her to receive this life-saving medication for free. Dr. Siegel, can you discuss why the 340B program is financially critical in helping hospitals focus on delivering quality care while bearing the burden of high drug prices and all the costs of treating low-income and uninsured patients?
Thank you, Senator. 340B program which includes only public and nonprofit hospitals, want to be clear about that, is a vital piece of the fabric to allow our hospitals to perform exactly the mission you talked about, and do that in an era where, since in the last 10 years, they've seen the price of that EpiPen quadruple. It was created initially, this program, to deal with exactly the issue of surging drug prices and their impact on hospitals. So this discount, which is a little over 1% of the total national drug spend, that's what we're talking about here today, is absolutely critical in these very targeted approaches, and we've got to defend it.
Thank you. Ms. Riley, I share your concern with high drug prices and agree with you that we need to do more to advance common sense reporting and accountability measures to better understand drug spending. You noted your support for legislation introduced by my colleague, Senator Cassidy, requiring more hospital transparency under the 340B program. But my constituent, Diane, who suffers from MS, wants to know more about why drug companies are raising the prices of prescription drugs. As you know, I've championed bipartisan legislation with Senator John McCain, the Fair Drug Pricing Act, that holds drug companies accountable to basic transparency when they raise their prices. So I ask you, do you support advancing my bipartisan bill to help Diane better understand the rising prices and to enhance accountability for drug companies as part of this larger discussion about accountability and transparency?
Well, I think the point about transparency is an important one, and I think what we've been consistently saying is we support transparency that is holistic across our healthcare system. Drugs are sold in many different forms. In the case of hospitals, we know from recent data that hospitals are marking up a drug that they purchase for one price 500% and then getting reimbursed 2.5 times full, 2.5 times more than the manufacturer. So we need transparency there as well.
But you're the representative for Pharma, and so I'm really asking about transparency with the drug corporations. Would you support additional transparency like the Fair Drug Pricing Act?
We are open to talking about different transparency measures. Again, I think part of our ground rule is if we're going to have transparency, we need to have it holistically across the system. It doesn't make sense to focus on one piece of a larger supply chain when it comes to prescription drugs. I would also say that with regard to prescription drug prices, last year they increased by 2.5%, well below what they have been in recent years. I think oftentimes when people look at price increases, they are looking at list or sticker price increases, which are not net of the significant rebates and discounts that we provide.
The stories of my constituents who come and tell me about their out-of-pocket costs. And Diane, who I just mentioned, saw her MS drug go up to $90,000 a year.
Well, I would very much agree with you that out-of-pocket costs for patients today need to be examined. We have a perversity of insurance going on in this country where patients who need drugs like MS, rheumatoid arthritis drugs, are being asked to pay oftentimes 40% of a list price of a medicine, which isn't reflective of the rich discounts that are provided on those medicines. And they also face very high deductibles before they can get access. And that is not our goal for a healthcare system. We want patients to be able to afford and access their medicine.